All right, so I'll put this on YouTube later, but so we're gonna talk about thesis statements one more time. I've changed some slides a little bit just because I went through it and thought, oh, there's some things I could clarify. But I want to go through this one more time. I feel like everyone did some sort of thesis, and this is your first thesis statement for this class, really, your first like really official one. It is the sentence you should spend the most time on. It's the one you should struggle with the most. So if you're like, wow, like this is like so hard to create a thesis, that's actually a sign you're doing it right. So let's go into this one more time. The first step, there's kind of different steps, but there's also like different ways to make a thesis. So if you feel like you don't, but you have to do it this one way and you're not doing it right, there's different ways to approach it. But maybe it shouldn't say steps. It should say something like one approach, narrow topic. So the topic may include South, and this is where I've changed it a little bit to go with that thesis statement. Or from Midsummer Night's Dream, love. So that's like, you want to kind of narrow that topic. You should say something like, add an adjective, the American South. That's a little bit different. Limiting the topic further, the rivers and shores of the American South. And you just want to keep narrowing until you get to the point where you cannot go any further. And if you do go further, it will actually be too focused and too narrow for what your essay covers, right? So if your thesis statement, you want to picture it like an umbrella. You want it to cover your whole essay, like all your body paragraphs. But if you can actually make it too small. You can make a little tiny umbrella that's not sufficient for your essay. Right? You want to narrow the topic far enough that it covers everything, but it's not too narrow. Another way, so this is not really step two, this is more like just another way to approach this is you want to ask yourself these three questions. So get your statement on paper first, like love is hard. And then you don't want to see something that we already know, like Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn is a great American novel. The first question you can ask is how, right? How is it a great American novel? In Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain develops a contrast between life on the river and life on the shore. What about life on the river and life on the shore, right? What's being contrasted? A little bit better through his contrasting river and shore scenes, Twain's Huckleberry Finn suggests that one must leave civilized society and go back to nature. All right, that's really good. That is, I'd say, at least a B thesis statement. Because you could still ask why they must leave, right? So you want to picture someone, maybe a little angel, or maybe a teacher, that would be kind of creepy, like on your shoulder, over your shoulder, asking you questions about your thesis. What would they ask? What do they want to know? And again, if you can actually go too far. Again, you can create that umbrella that's too small. So here's that grid thesis. Civilized society and back to nature. Yeah.
Does it matter where in your intro paragraph that you put thesis?
Yes, I want it at the end of your introduction. So, and the reason for that, and we're going to actually, over the weekend, we're going to talk, I'm going to actually, I can do this today.
That's it.
Yeah, if your essay, I'm sure you've seen something like this before. Anyone's seen an image like this in English class? Your introduction is going to get more and more narrow, to spiral down into the final is your, and so that should be the most narrow idea that basically really leads you right into that essay. And then at the end you can get broad again. So in this case, you in the beginning of your introduction, you could talk about how you could talk about Huckleberry Finn. You could talk about life on the river versus life on the shore. In general, you could talk about civilized society. But then you're going to get more and more narrow, and ultimately have your. Here's some other things. Notice there's the method. So what's the method that the author is using? Through contrasting and reinforcing, that's the method that he's using. And what's he doing with that method? Well, he's by contrasting those two things, which is your active verb, he's suggesting that defining the true expression of American democratic ideals, that part is the effect. So you want to actually look at your own thesis statement. I want you to do this in class. Look at what's the method. Do you have in your thesis, does it say what the method is that your author is using? And by using that method, what effect are they creating? I'll give you, if you're not sure what that means, I'll give you another example. A lot of you are using character conflict. So through the fighting between Hermia and Lysander, Shakespeare suggests blank. Yep. It could be, yeah, good question. It could be in a different order. A lot of people usually put the author and title first, right? In Midsummer Night's Dream, William Shakespeare uses yada yada to show us that yada yada. Does that make sense? It's all about the method, the effect. And then you want to make sure it's an active verb. By that I mean, what would be a passive verb? What's the sort of famous passive verb you want to avoid? You know? Passive active verbs, no? The to be verb, usually in the form of is. You want to avoid the verb is in your thesis statement. We can talk later about why that is, but saying something like, the story is about love. All of a sudden, because I use that verb is, or that be verb, it takes away a lot of the energy of that thesis statement. So you want to make it an active verb, all right? And here's another example. At significant moments in his journey, Holden is an irresponsible child. True, but again, thesis statement. Significant moments in his journey, he chooses to resist entry into the adult world of loss and responsibility. Now, something that's happening. And final thought. Again, if you feel like your thesis is perfect, but you feel like you've got something sometimes you just want to kind of move on. And after you write the rest of your essay, go back, take a look at your conclusion, take a look at your body paragraphs, go back to your thesis and see if you need to revise that thesis. This here is all saying something different than this. Instead of changing everything else, you want to just change your thesis or make it more thorough. All right? Any questions? I don't know. Okay. Let's stop that.